Now, Pakistan delegate who was attending the 90th Interpol General Assembly was in fact confronted about Dawood Ibrahim's presence in the country, which he refused to answer. This is what we are picking up from the Interpol General Assembly that is currently taking place in the national capital, and the Pakistan delegate attending the General Assembly was confronted about Dawood Ibrahim's presence in Pakistan, and he chose to skirt the question. Let's listen into what exactly happened.
जनाब एक सवाल है, क्या नहीं एक छोटा सा मतलब आप सुन लें, उसके बाद आपकी मर्जी होगी देना ना देना। क्या ये प्रोसेस एक्स्ट्राडिशन का बढ़ेगा भारत के साथ? दाऊद इब्राहिम को आप इंडिया को सौंपेंगे? एक्सेलेंसी हाफिज सईद एंड दाऊद इब्राहिम मोस्ट वांटेड है इंडिया में। क्या आप भारत
थोड़ा इधर देखो।
जनाब एक सवाल है, क्या नहीं एक छोटा सा मतलब आप सुन लें, उसके बाद आपकी मर्जी होगी देना ना देना। क्या ये प्रोसेस एक्स्ट्राडिशन का बढ़ेगा भारत के साथ? दाऊद इब्राहिम को आप इंडिया को सौंपेंगे? एक्सेलेंसी हाफिज सईद एंड दाऊद इब्राहिम मोस्ट वांटेड है इंडिया में।
My colleague Arunima, who's joining us on the broadcast, has more details. Arunima, was this heckling or was this part of some questionnaire that the Pakistani delegate was supposed to answer?
So this was after the Prime Minister's address to the inaugural session. And after this, all the delegates were asked to, come outside of that plenary hall for a cup of tea. And the media personnel were also present there. So the Pakistani delegation. Pakistan is always a country of special interest to India, given the fact that we have so many wanted terrorists in their country. So the Indian journalists then went up to the FIA chief, the Federal Investigation Agency of Pakistan. Its chief was representing Pakistan. It's a two-member delegation. So the Indian journalists walked up to them and said that, we want to know about Dawood Ibrahim, and we also want to know about Hafiz Saeed and the other terrorists who we believe are hiding in your country. But the Pakistani delegation remained tight-lipped, did not acknowledge or answer.
Right. Arunima, stay on with us. We also are joined by Pathikrit Payne on the broadcast. Mr. Payne, thank you so much for being a part of this discussion. Something which is very evidently clear on camera on how the Pakistani delegate is very, very startled with the question and also trying to avoid it to the best of his ability. However, these are very, very, important questions that Pakistan does need to answer, and they are clearly not willing to do that.
No, I think they have not answered these questions for the last so many decades, and they have been having a nice time in spite of that. So the reality is this. Whether you talk about Dawood Ibrahim or Hafiz Saeed or Maulana Masood Azhar, these people are part of the, they are foot soldiers of the deep state of Pakistan, for whom terrorism is an instrument of statecraft. They did the same thing in case of Osama bin Laden as well, but the Americans actually went inside and did what they have to do. So frankly speaking, the Pakistanis this time, instead of denying, they actually avoided the question because they are still under the FATF grey list, and they don't want to perhaps make any statement which may put them into jeopardy. But the reality is this: Pakistan on its own will neither acknowledge nor will do anything on them. If at all it has to be done, it has to be done by India through other agencies or with its own means. And that is perhaps the government of India has been working on for a long time. The Balakot kind of airstrike, I believe, has to be a norm than an exception. Pakistan on its own will never act. Neither the West will act, because whether you talk about Interpol or Western organizations, they have all been nice and okay with Pakistan's use of terrorism as an instrument of statecraft against India, because it serves their purpose as well to contain India. So I believe India will have to do. I think the journalists did the right thing in terms of asking these questions. These are very, very legitimate questions. But when the Pakistanis have not answered, I'm not surprised by it. This is the kind of, chicanery. This is the kind of things they have done for a long time and been okay with it. Let's see what happens in the future. But I'm sure time has come for India to take the strong action against them, but it has to be done on its own.
Right. Pathikrit, on the FATF grey list bit, the fact that this becomes a very important attendance for Pakistan to be a part of the Interpol General Assembly, and that way the nation needs to move strategically. What do you think is going to be Pakistan's point when they are going ahead making that attendance? And also this, of course, is going to be a big blot, clearly seen avoiding the crucial question.
Well, first of all, I think the FATF grey listing, I think there are too many overtures which are being made by the West, especially United States in the recent past, because of which a move can be made or some push can be made from the West to take Pakistan out of the grey list, because suddenly it seems that Pakistan is somehow in the good book of United States again, especially because India has been assertive. India is talking about its own interests, and India has refused to go to the Americans' line all the time. So far as this meeting is concerned, I don't think, this is not the first time perhaps that FIA is actually joining these meetings. They have done in the past, and this is exactly what Pakistan has done for a long time, hunting with the hound and running with the hare. They are the ones who actually incubate, mentor, nurture, metamorphose individuals into hardcore terrorists, and at the same time, they are the ones who actually attend all kinds of counter-terror conferences, and also play the victim card that they have been one of the biggest victims of terrorism, forgetting that the terrorism which is striking them today in the form of Tehrik-e-Taliban are no one else but their own Frankenstein which they created. So I think when it comes to the FATF grey list, it's not on the basis of merit, because Pakistan continues to be a harbor of terrorism, continues to harbor terrorists, but it all depends upon the geopolitical games that the West is playing, and perhaps in that realm, the possibility of the West taking certain moves, making certain moves to bring Pakistan out of FATF grey list just to keep the nation alive, cannot be overruled. That is the reality.
But Pathikrit, still, the fact that this General Assembly is happening in India after a gap of 25 years, Pakistan attending it is part of a political posturing nonetheless. What does one make out of it?
Well, political posturing is fine, but does it mean that Pakistan is going to give up on use of terrorism as an instrument of statecraft? Does it mean that they're going to take strong action on all the terror camps? I mean, even now across the LOC, I think at any point of time, several hundred terrorists get trained. So whether you talk about Bahawalpur or the Balakot, those areas continue to be, areas where they're literally called the cradle or incubation center of terrorism. That has not changed at all. In fact, on the contrary, in case of Pakistan, the radicalization has reached to that extent that today Pakistan doesn't want to do anything against these non-state actors, which I would rather say, state-sponsored non-state actors, because they know that if they do anything against them, the government might fall. That is the kind of support these organizations and also the radical Islamist organizations like Pakistan Tehrik-e-Labbaik have over there. So I think this political move or overture of attending this meeting in India doesn't change at all the core object or core issue of Pakistan being a harbinger of terrorism and a country which has nurtured terrorism, which has made the world suffer probably for the last 30 years, and they're still reviving. Remember, now that Prime Minister Modi made a very important statement about how narcotics and organized crime is actually, funding terrorism. Today itself, BSF has shot down a Pakistani drone carrying 2.5 kg of heroin. That shows the double standard and the duplicity of Pakistan, where on one hand, they are actually attending counter-terror meet, at the same time, they continue to, push in arms, ammunition, narcotics.
Absolutely. Pathikrit, of course, a very, very strategic attendance. This is a two-member delegation of Pakistan that is part of this 90th Interpol General Assembly. And one of the Pakistani delegates was confronted about the Dawood Ibrahim presence question in Pakistan, and he, of course, refused to answer that, ducking that question. Let's take a look at exactly what happened.
जनाब एक सवाल है, क्या नहीं एक छोटा सा मतलब आप सुन लें, उसके बाद आपकी मर्जी होगी देना ना देना, क्या ये प्रोसेस एक्स्ट्राडिशन का बढ़ेगा भारत के साथ? दाऊद इब्राहिम को आप इंडिया को सौंपेंगे? एक्सेलेंसी, हाफिज सईद एंड दाऊद इब्राहिम मोस्ट वांटेड है इंडिया में, क्या आप भारत